know, so groovy, babe. I know what you know. I know that you know. What's good, family? It's your boy FONZi Dutra representing for Bout.online.com. You tapped in with the UK-US connection. Joined with the big dog, Phalos Angeles, aka Floss Mode. What's good with you, pimp?
Oh man, you know, shit. Maxing and chilling, wigs on pigs and capes on apes. You know what it is.
No doubt, no doubt. So, you know, we definitely appreciate you tapping back in with us. You know, hopefully we're gonna lay some people with some game on this one. I mean, we usually do, but we're discussing hip hop culture continually. Once again, for the hip hop 50th year anniversary, it's brought out a lot of different conversation, brought out a lot of different OGs, brought out a lot of difference in opinion. Um, I'm gonna share a clip recently that we've seen pop up from MELLE MEL on the Art of Dialogue, and this gonna open up a whole lot of conversation. To me, it's not really a lot of a new conversation because we've had different people say stuff similarly in the past in regards to just hip hop and feeling, though there's a bias when it comes to how people from outside of the culture try and make I guess strong claimants within it. So I'm gonna share this MELLE MEL clip. Shouts out to the Art of Dialogue. Definitely check out that channel. You know, they got a lot of dope interviews on there. Art doing his thing. So we're gonna share this MELLE MEL clip. Hopefully YouTube don't try hack us up for copyright or anything, but this is fair use and informative discussion. So let's keep this.
What you think about Eminem being at number 5 on the Billboard Top 50 Rappers of All Time list?
Obviously, he's a capable rapper. If you was talking about sales, he sold more than everybody. If you're talking about rhyme style, okay, he got a rhyme style. But he's white. He's white. So now if Eminem was just another nigga like all the rest of us, would he be top 5 on that list when a nigga that can rhyme just as good as him is 35? That had records and all that. He's 35. He's white. So now you could be, anybody could be as mad as they could feel how they want to feel. If you don't think that race plays a part in the equation of how great he is. I heard one of the dudes that's down with him, Royce, the 6'9", or Roy, one of that I heard he's just as good as Eminem. Why ain't he as big as Eminem? Because he black. It ain't none of that shit hard to figure out. Eminem gets a top spot because he's white.
Yeah, so definitely peace to MELLE MEL, you know, one of the foundational pioneers of hip hop. You know, before I chime in and get your thoughts on this, I just want to say, you know, I feel as though there is a racial bias when it comes to not just music in the industry, but when these polls and stuff like that are put together, I feel as though we already know that we live in a society that wants to function under a certain type of supremacy, especially when it comes to giving like black men their flowers for creating anything. Systematically, we've seen that they like to disregard almost any of the contributions that black people have made. So it's no surprise that when it comes to an art form and a culture which has been so predominantly black, when there are people that I guess participate from other nationalities, they do like to give them more of a boost, in my opinion, just to conflate them into the argument. Just otherwise it would be seen as a complete black thing. But you heard that clip there from MELLE MEL. Obviously, you know the industry and stuff yourself. I mean, do you feel race has a part to play in how these polls are put together and stuff like that?
Of course it has. Race plays a part in everything in our lives. They try to make it seem like it's not, but race plays a lot of it plays a lot in everybody's lives. As far as with Eminem, he's dope. You know what I mean? Is MELLE MEL right? 100% correct. The Mundo, he's right. Yeah, he's right. All I gotta say about it is congratulations. Congratulations. They have dismantled and taken our music and watered it down, and we got nothing, got crumbs out of it, basically. We're still fighting to get are are masters. You understand? So, you know, Eminem, it's no shade on Eminem. He's dope. Of course he's dope. You know what I mean? But beforehand, before Eminem came out and all the white kids was on rap, their parents didn't like rap because they was like, you trying to be like those niggers. But when Eminem came out, now they can say, well, you trying to be like that Eminem. He is right. All the rappers is dying. You notice none of the white rappers is dying. If they did die, rest in peace to Mac Miller. You know, they die from their own causes of their own, you know, their own accordance. You know what I mean? But it seemed like all the black rappers is dying. You know what I mean? And their families are not getting any of the residuals of it. You know, I don't see how people could even sleep at night knowing that they're doing that to people. You know, and people then moved from different states and came and sacrificed their life for this music and all of this, and we still can't get any ownership. If you don't own your own music, that means you can't get third-party people to, you know what I mean? A case of somebody wanted to use your song for a commercial or whatever, you know, it's real whack. You know, it's a lot of stories that go down the line. You know, I remember I was signed to Red Ant Entertainment, and so I remember at one time me and Bam was on tour. We were on tour, and we had performed with Slick Rick in Vegas, and they gave us a stipend. It was like a little punk ass stipend. It was like no lie, like $40. They gave us like $40 a day, that type of shit. You know what I mean? It had us way far from the venue, staying way far. So when they gave me a check, I didn't like them anyway. So that's the reason why I did what I did. And so they gave me a check, and I had the same. So instead of giving us, like, I think, what, $30, I put a 1 in front of the motherfucker. I put a 1 in front of it and got like $118. It was $130 or some shit. So Randy Phillips had called me into the meeting. He called a meeting and told me to come up there, but I didn't know for what. I thought it was for something else. And he had pointed this out to me. I'm gonna show you how shitty they are, the company. So to this day, right now, me and Bam had did the title song for the movie Love Stinks with Tyra Banks, Bill Bellamy, French Stewart, and Bridget Wilson. It was big, red carpet, all that shit went to the Playboy Mansion behind it and all that. To this day, right now, I'm still trying to get him to reverse it. He had put, like, I put the 1 on the check, and it was $140 some. When it came to my residuals for the movie Love Stinks, they spilled my name all the way out, Andre Branch, but left 1 letter out. And so somebody overseas is getting my money right now because of that. You understand what I'm talking about? So it's like a tit for a tat. They can, like the record companies want your shit to go platinum next week, it can go platinum next week. You know what I mean? It's all, we should be thinking about owning our own masters and getting our own shit.
About fair play, but I hear you when you say they can advance things, and that's what we've been seeing, especially when we think, you know, Eminem, Interscope, and not to take nothing away from Eminem's talent, but we know he was heavily backed and heavily pushed to, you know, to move a certain amount of units in sales. I saw like an interview, could have been earlier this week. I was watching an old interview with Domination. Shouts out to Domination. Used to be down with Bang Smurf and like G Unit and all those guys, and then they did their own thing, Silverback Gorillas and all of that. But he was talking about when he first heard the Eminem first Slim Shady LP, and he was jamming it in the hood, and, you know, he was like, not everybody was feeling it, but he was like, you know, he listened to it. And even me as a hip-hop aficionado in some aspect, I listened to that first Slim Shady LP, and, you know, I didn't think, you know, let's keep it a buck. Like, black people that created hip-hop, and there's been so many great black artists. And, you know, when we was listening to new artists, we check them out, we're listening to their skill. If they're dope, we give them their props. If they can rhyme, we give them their props. If their context is good, all that stuff, we give them their props. We like the stories that they rap about. So when I say all that to say this, when M's first album came out, you know, I gave it a listen, no different to any other rap album that was coming out. And, you know, I enjoyed it for what it was because it was different. He brought something different to the table, and that boy could spit, you know what I mean? We give credit where it's due. But does that ultimately put him in the position of being like, the best rapper in the world. No, I don't think so. But what we started to see after that was, I guess they started putting him more into that position within the media. And when I think of hip hop, I always think of like back in the days when we watched like the old hip hop documentaries, and they would talk about the Grandmaster Flash and the Run DMCs and stuff, but they would always include the Beastie Boys. And not to take nothing away from the Beastie Boys, you had other white rappers, I believe, like even Fed Bass was more of an interpretation of rap. You had what was those guys, House of Pain, they did a little something, Everlast. You had Milkbone. You've had different types of white rappers, but I always thought them pushing the Beastie Boys is like, they always put them in like the top. This was like in the 80s, or they used to always put them in like the top rappers, and I thought
they've always wanted to do that. They always wanted to put.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I thought they've moved the units, but it wasn't really qualified. And then obviously we know Vanilla Ice, he didn't really hold up like that. But I feel as though M, because of his talent and his backative and the people that he was around, we're not putting it on him like it's his fault, but they was able to put him and use him in that position because it's like M, somebody that everybody can accept in the sense that, okay, well, he is dope, he can spit, you know what I mean? And then you got all the black rappers were saying like, he one of the best. And then I think now people are being a bit more truthful, and music's subjective, but I feel as though, the OGs now being a bit more truthful and saying, well, you know what, he ain't in our top 10 or he ain't in our top 5 because, there's this array of other rappers, just like they said in that Hip Hop 50 list, people who are, like Royce the 5'9", he might be 30, and certain Cannabis, certain guys that people might say and neck with Eminem when it comes to a certain type of lyrical deliverance. So that's kind of my take on that part.
And going back to what you just said, the key word what you just said was they use him, and they do use him. They use him, and he don't even know. He knows that they use him, but how they use him is in a different way. How they use him may not be the way that he feels. Because, like I said, when they gave Eminem the Lyrics of the Year, I think it was Source Awards some years ago, hella years ago, and Method Man and Redman was standing up clapping. You know what I mean? And it's not like I faulted him, because really nobody really wanted with him. He's got a different style. You know what I mean? But there are MCs that's better than him. You know what I'm saying? They use him because of the fact of they rather, have him in the forefront. They go off record sales, how many record sales and how many records you sold. That's what they go off of. But they're using him also, but when you go and push up on Eminem and you ask him who's the dopest, you know what I mean? He'll tell you Tretch. You know what I mean? He go off the old school shit. A lot of the bullshit that they have him involved in, he don't even really want to be involved in it. He don't show up at the Grammys. He don't like none of that shit because he knows it's a bunch of fake shit. And they'll give him the award knowing that these people over here that's black really deserve the award. It's our music. You know what I mean? But like I said before, they cut out 106 in Park, The Basement, Yo MTV Raps. They cut all these. Don't you see? Slowly but surely, they cut all these shows off because we was making too much money at it. You know what I mean? You have to pay us by law. These are the laws they made up. You have to pay us, but they don't want to. You know what I mean? And so they rather have Eminem on the forefront. That list that they got, that's a bunch of bullshit. We all know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a bunch of bullshit. So
I think it's interesting. And like you said, I mean, there was a post that I saw the other day on TikTok, and it was this white Karen lady, and she was so upset with the concept of Black History Month, and she's saying, why do you guys need Black History Month? She's like, you guys already have BET, you already have this, you already have that. And it was like, even the contrast to what you just said, those things have all been eradicated or taken away. So I'm not saying she's right for what she was saying, but I just wanted to draw to that point, because it seems as though as things that we create, people want to take ownership on. Even myself, I've, not to make it a race issue, but I've done business and other dealings with people of different race groups and stuff. And a lot of them, when it comes to like being involved in the culture, they don't really come with, I guess, the direction like they're trying to help. It's always like trying to see what they can get or usurp and stuff. And, we know capitalism and a lot of that stuff runs high. And what's interesting is, like, it's like you said, if you went back maybe like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we're looking at 50 years of hip hop now, when people even express themselves in a certain way, it was looked at or deemed at as negative, and some people didn't understand it. But now that whole cultural kind of understanding that's been birthed through hip hop, and you turn on the TV and you hear white people talking a certain way with slang or acting a certain way. You know, you watch sports, you see them doing it. You know, a lot of these things across the board that have came from out of hip hop and the creative minded black people. However, they don't want to give those kind of props. So it's kind of like you get this concept where a lot of people they want what black people have. They want to
but they don't want to give us our props though.
They want to give the props or be black. And that brings us to a clip that I want to share quickly from Dr. Umar Johnson. So we're gonna pull this one up and then we'll get back to some combo.
We gotta stop.
Okay, so let's see, because I think this coincides with the conversation that we're having.
Get our power back. We gotta stop letting people appropriate our culture. I think it's very disrespectful when we let non-Africans appropriate the culture, because everybody wants to be black when it's time to play ball, when it's time to rap, when it's time to drink, go to the club, smoke some weed, buy some clothes, right? When it's time to floss and drip, everybody want to be black. But when it's time to fight against police brutality, where are they then? Scared. Has DJ Khaled ever been in a police brutality march? Because DJ Khaled has exploited black culture. He is an Arab. What has he done for black culture? Eminem, what has he done? DJ Vlad, what has he done? Look at all these non-Africans who are making millions of dollars off of our culture, but they never show up when we got to go to war against racism. And I don't even blame them. I'm not blaming Khaled, I'm blaming us. Because show me another people who will let an outsider come in, exploit my culture, make millions off of it, but you never around when it's time for us to defend black life. You always there when it's time to exploit black culture. You never around when it's time to defend black life. Get our power back.
Yeah, so there we see some powerful clip there from Dr. Umar, and I think, you know, he makes some great points. I mean, one of the points he made was he did call some names, you know, Khaled and stuff, and say, you know, these guys don't.
I've been wanting to get on him. I just ain't said nothing, but I've been wanting to get on him.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say for the record, I don't know what these guys may or may not do. I have heard that Eminem does do some stuff to like help support.
I've been, you know what? He didn't open up a can of worms to me, because I
know where you're coming from. Yeah, I just want to get this point out. I know where you're coming from, because how we just said in terms of, you know, we're the only people that I think let other people kind of come in and dictate what they want to do with stuff that we didn't create, you know, and they start retelling it, and then before you know it, there's no place for you within it. So I think he opening up some layers on that point where it's like us as a people, you know, creating this stuff, and then, you know, people having like they quiet when it comes to certain issues. They don't get involved when it comes to certain issues. Even on my social media, I got friends from different nationalities and backgrounds, and when I post about like rap stuff, some of them they want to jump on. Oh yeah, I had this album too. Yeah, I know this song too. But when I post about, you know, something from, you know, police brutality, you know, racism, something dealing with certain issues, they're quiet. They got nothing to say. And it's that kind of sadness where it's the same thing. They want to be a part of it for the cool aspect, like he was saying, for the drip. It's like a lot of people, when they know you black, they're gonna come to you and they go try and express to you that they can do something on the same level as you, or what is deemed as like black and cool, whether it's street, whether it's fashion and stuff. But anything to do with like education, development, stuff like that, they don't associate those things with black. They don't, you know, if it's just like some of these Latinos, not dissing them, but the ones that like, oh yeah, I can be black because I can smoke weed and I can say nigger and I can do all this negative stuff. None of them ever claim, when they claim blackness, they never say, oh, I'm claiming to be black because it's anything to do with being empowered, being, you know, regal, being, you know, anything on a high stance. It's always on a low stance. That's one of the points I want to make. So I think there's a low parameter of blackness that they go for, which is often associated with like the streets, and people just kind of let them in to do that. But some of these same people who then say, you know, yeah, I'm down with the black, it's always down with that level. So they want blacks to be on a certain level. I don't see them supporting black upliftment, is my point.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
I know I said a lot, but yeah.
No, it's good. Do you, brother? You know, I'm just, you know, I feel like the people that's at fault is us. It's us. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna keep it real. I always keep it real. I always speak about what I see and what's going on. You know, it's like we brainwash, bro. We brainwash. It's like you said, you'll let somebody else from another race come in, the Koreans, the Asians, and all that, and come into a black neighborhood and open up a store, and they don't rob it. But as soon as a black person come and try to do something in the neighborhood to open up their own business, they robbing it or they scheming to rob it. You know what I mean? It's sad because at the same token, we're such a blessed people, we're such a talented people, but at the same token, we have people that's too quick to sell us out, and it's our own people. And so you can't even though it don't look right and it don't feel right to have all these other people from other races making more money off our shit than we do, a Vlad, a Khaled, and all of them, is because you can't really even fault them, because they're like, well, somebody has to make some fucking money off of it, because y'all not making no money off of it, because they are not allowing y'all to make the money off of it.
You just hit a good point, but we can't say that. We can't fault them for that, because what that is actually bearing witness to is we live in a capitalistic society, and it's showing that these guys are operating under guise of capitalism and using oftentimes unscrupulous tactics and methods, because it's like you're not being afforded or allowed that position, as you said, to operate and run your own stuff in that way. They want to try, and a lot of the times they lie and mislead to put themselves in that position. When I say they, I ain't talking about any particular group. I'm talking to those who are guilty of it, especially those who, you know, we don't just wrestle against flesh and blood, but powers and principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. So a lot of these people, some of the stuff that they come in with, it's like they've been put there to kind of keep us back, I feel, in some ways, because there's a lot of it's like a vulture mentality. So that's where we get the whole culture vulture aspect from, because that's what a vulture do. It kind of prey on the dead. So yeah, you say black people, they've been in the state of death and deadness in the wild. And
it's a damn disgrace somewhat. Now Fat Joe get a pass to me. You know what I'm saying? Fat Joe, I seen Fat Joe in Inglewood, you know, from the wood. I seen Fat Joe, you know, out in LA and all that shit. But that Khaled, you know, to be on there, you know, if some people can look at this shit as what I'm saying is hate, but it's really not. I ain't hating on nobody that's getting it. But at the same time, when you're on Instagram and he doing the dance and eating good and his #1 slogan that he says, it just makes me sick when I hear it after another one. Yeah, another one. You getting more money than, you know. I think these people who at the same time, I don't want to make it seem like Latinos wasn't in hip hop, because they was just as well as in hip hop as black people were. But I'm just saying, why we always got to get the short end of the stick? Because they don't want us to rise. It's like even our own people are on the same agenda as these racist white people, because they don't want to see each other get, you know what I mean? Like they make it so hard for us to get to the money. By the time some of us get to the money, they don't want to let the other ones. And then when they do let the other ones in, our own people, we let them in, then they rob us. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like
I see it as like, no, I hate it. There's one thing there's a big thing that stick out to me, especially a lot of black people want to change their conditions.
Yeah, but the black people got to start changing. I'm tired of talking about the same shit, and I'll be 49 on the 13th of this month, and I'm tired of it already. So you know, our parents and shit like that, they tired of hearing the same. Let's get together. You know what I mean? Let's get together. Black people are making more money than they ever made in the whole history of the United States being around. So why aren't we pushing the envelope to do more things?
You see, the average black person want to change their conditions. How I see it is a lot of other people sometimes be involved in black people's business where they don't necessarily need to be. Like, you know, you can't go and involve yourself in the Asian man's business and the Korean man's business and stuff.
Hell no, you can't. They'll kung fu karate chop the shit out you. You trying to go over there in their neighborhood and take over and build a business.
it comes to black business, even just as a conversation, everybody's involved. You go on TikTok, you go on YouTube, you go on any social media platform, you see white women talking about black people and black issues, Asian women talking about black people. Everybody finds a way to chime in on the black conversation. So we're not being left with
racist. We're not being racist at all.
We're not being racist, and we're not being left with the same. So other people get left alone to kind of be able to do what they do, and we're not getting left alone. Everybody always wants to be involved in what we do and what we have going on, and I think
the fact that another race can go into a bank and go get a loan, it's like it was already written in stone that you're not supposed to give the black people, black men, especially black men, but giving black people loans for any fucking thing. Loans and having a house is power. Once you start with a house.
The French Montanas, the Khaleds, and those guys, as you said, like my whole thing is not to take nothing away from people, as you said, even the Latinos and stuff as well. But when it comes to to me, like the diaspora or even blackness, black culture, black identity, any of that kind of stuff, it transcends a lot of things. But to me, they always want to associate it with a baseline level or a street level. Like even here in the UK, like you've got white rappers who are from certain London council estates or whatever, for instance, and they grow up around black people and stuff. And some of them use the N-word, and their rationale will be able to use it will be like, okay, we grew up around, black people, so it's cool. So
that don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing.
I digress. It's like the argument with Fat Joe where, and I'm not saying Fat Joe's wrong, but some people have an issue with Fat Joe using the N-word, and Fat Joe will be like, well, I grew up in,
Puerto Ricans is niggas to me.
The Bronx, and but here's my point. This is my point. We're always quick to say these people is niggas, and I'm not saying but on what basis is always on a low level basis. It's always based on a low level of street stuff, always based on a low level of it's never based on anything. Do any of them talk about MLK? Do any of them talk about Honorable Elijah Muhammad? Do any of them talk about Dr. Francis Cress Welsing? Do any of them talk about Noble Drew Ali? Do any of them talk about Patrice Lumumba? Do any of them talk about Haile Selassie? They don't talk about exalted black figures. They always adhere to being black at a low level. So that's my issue with it, because there's a perception of blackness that's been relegated to a low street sort of form of ghetto culture, which anybody can be embroidered in that, and anybody who is embroidered in that often gets the same characteristics to say, okay, well, I grew up around black people. I'm talking the higher aspects of black civilization and culture is what needs to be pushed and expressed and developed. And some of these other individuals, therefore, developing that within their own racial groups and communities, but not developing that overall within the black community.
You're absolutely correct. Like I said, we brainwashed, bro.
But I'm gonna share one more clip, and this is from Royce the 5'9", who was actually mentioned in one of the earlier clips by MELLE MEL. He was saying Royce the 5'9" is, pretty much up there with lyricism, even with like M and stuff. And Royce is known for going backwards and forwards with like trolls and stuff online. So he shares some interesting points on this clip where he speaks about what he does and why he feels like sometimes outsiders are always trying to get a voice on matters within the culture that don't really concern them and how dangerous it can be. So let's check this Royce clip out.
That triggers me. It triggers me when I see bitch-ass white boys doing shit like that. And it also triggers me when y'all get in the comments and you defend this kind of behavior. That is a trigger for me. It also triggers me when you come into my comments and you insert yourself into conversations that don't have anything to do with you. You comment on things that don't have anything to do with you. You think you have to like agree with everything. You think you have to have a part in everything. Nothing that I'm here to represent, nothing about the movement that I'm encouraging has nothing to do with you, white people. I don't want anything from you. I don't need anything from you. I'm not here on behalf of any white people. I'm not here because of white people. I'm not here. I haven't been created by a white person. I think you don't know what the fuck you're looking at. I'm motherfucking Royce the 5'9". I got 8 solo albums, all independent. You may think they were on majors, but they're all independent. It's probably because of the way that they were presented to you. In 20 years, I built from the ground 3 different brands running concurrent at the same time. Royce the 5'9", Slaughterhouse, and Prime. 3 multi-million-dollar brands running concurrent, doing it my way. I probably reinvented myself at least 5 times over the last 20 years. Don't talk to me about numbers. Don't talk to me about chart position. You can't fake it that long. So I don't have nothing to prove. There is not a man walking on God's green earth that could ever say that he created something this magnificent. Only the Lord above can create something this fantastic. And don't you ever fucking forget it. I'm not good at what I do. I'm fucking great.
Yeah, that's real, man. Some pretty powerful words there from Royce.
Yeah, Royce is not, he's upset. It seems like he's, and as he should, tired of that. Like, they got to take everything, like the black woman train. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole bunch of hoopla behind that because they're not going against white people or being anti-white. They just trying to get they're trying to get themselves together and unify. In order for you to make a movement and stay with the movement, people have to be on one accord. It's like they get mad if we get on one accord. You know what I mean? But that having the Korean coming into the black neighborhood and make money, and you're right though, Fonz, we can't go into no other people's race unless they let us make money and not afraid. It's like they don't give us loans. It's like they don't care. They don't care. How could you be kikiing and ha-ha and all in people's face knowing that they got welded enough money to share with us, black people? That's why I keep trying to tell y'all on every episode, I'm going to find a way that I'm going to be able to say that this November, we need to not vote. I'm gonna find my way. I don't give what we was talking about poodles with G-strings on. I'm still gonna find a way to talk about us not voting in November. That's the only, I feel like that's the only thing that we can do. Or stay with the bullshit, keep going through the repetitious cycle of nothing, death, jail. So for certain, that's one thing for certain that they promised us: death and jail.
I mean, it's crazy because you know what, I don't know what the issue is. As you said, you know, there's such constraints on, I think, even down to from a macrocosmic level to a microcosmic level, down to stuff like this we're doing on YouTube. There's still constraints with YouTube, you know, trying to shadow ban certain channels and content and stuff from, you know, for what reason we ask. But it's like, as you said, everybody else is allowed to do what they do. Like there's you know, the Muslim faith is quite big, the fundamental Muslim faith, and they have their own like groups and meetings and stuff for themselves, and you know, different communities have their own women's meetings and stuff like that. So why they can't have a black girl follow train on TikTok is beyond me.
And you know, another thing is what I pay attention to.
You know what? Stop talking about. I see this Karen cry. Stop talking about skin color. Like, why is it always got to be like you talking people that then made the world into this coloristic, color-coded society that functions under systemic white supremacy and racism? And I'm not saying it's people that are individual that do, but we know that that's how the system operates, which is even been admitted by the system in major ways. So, but then you get people who are like, they can't believe that people are talking about color when that's what's been projected onto the world. Like, we didn't wake up one day and start like, let's talk about everybody color and this and that, but people are just responding to the conversations that's out there or how they've been treated. So, you know, you give everybody the term like black and black and black and black. So these black women, they take the term black and they say, okay, black girl follow trade, so we got to follow other black women and support each other and stuff. How does that demean anybody else. It doesn't. But because you feel as though you're not involved or your name isn't at the forefront of it, you know, you got to try and shut it down, I think. And it's like it brings us back to the hip hop conversation where I feel as though, like that with Eminem, they feel they got to put his name at the forefront. Because we know, to keep it real, there's a lot of white people out there that enjoy hip hop, and a lot of them don't just listen to Eminem. They listen to, you know, a lot of the black rappers. Like most of their concerts, they full out with white people, you know, and stuff. So the thing is, they want to enjoy the music, but they want to feel like they're a part of it. And I feel as though for them to feel like they're a part of it at a psychological level, it works them having like their own kind of people at the forefront where they can look at and identify and say, well, you know, Eminem's the best rapper, so we can be a part of hip hop, or we're a part of this because he a part of this and we're a part of, you know. To me, it's like a psychological thing like that. But it can be very dangerous because once you start overstepping the original creators, it's like a reimagining or a reinventation of history, which isn't nothing new. We've seen it over the years in different forms of music and stuff. I mean, Michael Jackson, before he passed, he famously spoke out about it and said, you know, all these forms of dancing came from black people and all these forms of music, you know, and they was big mad at him for that.
Yeah, man. I just, like I said, it's a cold thing. It's a cold thing that every other race has a leader, and their leaders survive in order to lead their race. If nobody doesn't see that the conspiracy of all of black people, every time that we get a leader, they get shot down and killed. You know what I'm saying? Like if I don't know if people got blinders on or if people is blind, but how come they can't see that it's restraints on us on purpose? I don't know if you've seen the clip with Jay Farrow, the comedian. What happened to him? You know what I mean? He definitely got profiled in Beverly Hills. You know what I'm saying? And I watched the clip today, and I was just looking like how they switch up. I'm telling you, bro. These racists, they didn't took them white sheets off, and they didn't traded them for police uniforms. And that's what's going on.
Some of them, they normal working class people. I seen the clip with Tyrese being accosted at, I believe it was Home Depot or something like that by
I seen that too.
Member of the staff being blatantly racist towards her. She wouldn't even admit no fault, no wrong. Just, you know, he had to come back to the store and everything, and, you know, say he gonna contact the CEO and everything.
The black lady that was in the store, black lady. This was your grandmother. You know, my grandmother just passed a couple of months ago. I'd have went banoodles in there. The black lady, she found $50 on the floor inside, I think it was CVS or something. And so she was like, I'm going to take it and run out. She was like, I'm looking for a person. Where's the manager at? So I could give this money to. You know what I'm saying? Even if she didn't give the money to the manager, she found it on the floor. She's not like she stole it. They ran and before she could get to the door and lock the door, had her in a chokehold and all of that. These people is getting out of pocket. But what I believe is that how you break that shit up is that when they come like that, and they come like they're gonna call the police or they're gonna come and hit you and all that, you beat the whole entire brake pads off their ass. And people will start learning. Like, all this nigga talk and all this blatantly saying it, like this is the 50s and the 40s. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's interesting. There was a clip shared, you know, you put it on the DOA TBM with a white guy by the name of Scott Adams, who was the creator of a comic strip called Dilbert. And he put out this rant where he's saying on this rant that he tired of black people and he see black people as a hate group because he feels that black people don't like white people from some
I wonder why.
Some poll that he says, and then he gets to talking about, I think, you know, I'm done. I think we need you to stay away from them and have our own, you know, separation and stuff. And he start talking about when they're around, they, you know, the stuff that they do, and he start talking all this other you know, pro-Nazi rhetoric and mess and stuff. And, you know, it's just interesting. That's somebody at a high, you know, a high kind of level in society to one degree. And he's showing that his bias is there. Then they had that other guy who he was talking about the Aunt Jemima brand, and he was
Mammy
like,
and all of those shit.
like, I wish they still had the black people on the front, you know, they better, you know, they better at making pancakes and all this foolishness, you know.
I'm like, well, how about you make us do it then? How about you make us do it? I love people like him, and he getting beat up like that one clip that we seen that we talk about. Fonz was out there, the white dude that was out there in Europe.
No, but that's why I forget. That's why I mentioned it, because this guy Scott Adams, back to him, he was upset about that, and he was saying in the video, he said, you know, I'm upset every time I go online. I'm seeing videos of black African Americans beating up non-black people, beating up white people, and I'm saying, you ain't mentioning why they beating them up in those clips, because what did they do or what did they say? You know, a lot of the clips that I've seen to that, it's always they cross the line or call somebody the N-word or call somebody
degrading us, calling us the N-word, talking about your animals and all you're beneath me and all this whole time. The best one I'll tell you is the one that's on that train. That white guy that was on that train talking down on the black, and then they socked him into the whole next week.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I was gonna upload a different one with a white dude. You've seen it as well, where the white dude actually called the other white man the M-word and he punched him. And I was like, shit, there you go. Not even white people like being called that, but
right.
That's the biggest insult he could ever got. Don't call me one of those. Like,
right, that's just a total disrespect. You know,
that's like that brother who got the African Diaspora Network. He talk about it because he says anytime any of them call you that, he say you turn around and call it to them and say to them, the only is like the only nigga I see right here is you. And he said, watch how they react.
I just believe in all that calling the police, because when you call the police about if somebody called you a nigga or not, you know what I'm saying? The first thing they do when they show up on the scene is put you in handcuffs. You know what I'm saying? So I advise if you don't want to get the whole entire brake pass beat off your ass, then you should watch your mouth like the other white dude. There's so many of them. The one white dude, they was at the bar and called the black dude a nigga. You know what I mean? He said, let's step outside. I don't have to go outside with you, nigga. And he beat the whole entire Sonic coins off his ass.
Nah. So, you know,
right.
It's crazy.
Tired of that shit. People tired of that. Tired of it.
Well, that's it. So, you know, we're having this conversation, obviously, based on, you know, sparks of the axiom of just the racial bias and stuff within the music industry, as well as modern society. So we are going to see an overlap at times. You know, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments, you know, especially 50 years of hip hop. We know there's a lot of hip hoppers out there, and hip hop does ultimately bring people together, but it's about bringing people together in truth. And, you know, it's just sort of like reggae music and stuff as well. It's about, you know, truth and justice and equality, you know, freedom, justice, and equality. Those are elements even that are very fundamental within hip hop also. So it's only right that we speak the truth. And, you know, shouts out to MELLE MEL for speaking his truth. You know, Royce the 5'9", Dr. UMAR.
We're not trying to be violent either. We're not on no violent tip. We're not about this saying that violence it solves everything. It doesn't. But at the same time, some people just need to get their ass whipped. That's it.
Yeah, I know that. Something they have to come in. So, guys, peace out. We're gonna wind down on this one. We're gonna be back this weekend with some new drops. Shouts out to the culture. Salute, support, and let us know in the comments your thoughts.
And make sure y'all push that subscribe and that like button too.
Yeah.